Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Swag Kage, and he's gone and done it. We are seeing an explanation of Naruto's third Great Ninja War. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one was good, but there wasn't so much stuff there to actually explain because there wasn't much in the actual original source material. But I feel like this is going to be good. I feel like we, as viewers of Naruto, are a little bit more knowledgeable of this one, so this is going to be good to check out.
Hey fellas, how's it going?
We
Swag
are.
Kage here, and today we're going to be wrapping up my little Ninja War mini-series.
This has been good. These have been
the
good.
Third Great Ninja War, the last one that takes place.
First one was really good video.
Out of all of Naruto's global conflicts, with the exception, of course, of the Fourth Great Ninja War, this is
Which
the one that we know the
are
most
very
about.
well aware of.
It's at least the one that we're told the most about directly. We're never told exactly how much time passes between the end of the Second War and the start of this one, but I assume it's around the 10 to 15 year range, since Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan seem to be about that much older. Again, this is just a guess, like I said,
because they were,
know, but what I can
they
say
suffered
for sure
from
is
it, didn't
the war
they?
did take place at least 10 to 15 years before the start of the series, since it obviously precedes the Nine Tails attack and, by extension, Minato's death, both of which happened the day Naruto was born. Speaking of Minato, as I'm sure many of you already know, he was a pretty big deal throughout this war.
Yes,
like
he was.
it
run on sight.
Probably Konoha's most valuable asset.
Yep.
His skill with the flying Raijin jutsu made engaging
The Flash, man.
impossible, and conversely allowed him to quickly and efficiently tear through enemy forces. Even two of the fastest ninja in the world, the future 4th Raikage A and the 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer B, struggled to keep up with him.
Yeah, man.
As a matter of fact,
That's how fast he was.
It would be more accurate to say that he easily outpaced both of them at the same time. So to the average ninja, which made up the overwhelming majority of the military forces participating in this war, Minato was probably pretty scary. He was given the nickname the Yellow
Run away.
Flag,
As soon as you see it, run away. That's what you were told. Like, imagine being told, yeah, flee on sight, there you go.
One of his most
Imagine being
notable
told that.
came during the mission to destroy Kanabi Bridge, which at the time was an extremely important bridge used by the Stone Village to transfer supplies to its troops stationed in the Grass Village. At some point during the mission, a group of Leaf Ninja made contact with a group of enemy Stone Ninja, and the resulting battle left them in a pretty undesirable position. By the time Minato showed up, the Leaf's forces had been reduced to a measly 4 people who were being pinned down by at least 50 Stone Ninja. Now, we're never actually shown this, but it's heavily implied that Minato took out all 50
annihilated
of these
them.
guys by himself.
That's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Part to this victory that Konoha was able to successfully carry out the mission to destroy Kanabi Bridge. Now, this mission success was actually a pretty big deal, and is often cited as one of the main reasons the Leaf was able to turn its losing position into a winning one. But in order to explain why, let me take a step back and give everyone some context.
Cool.
So, as usual, we're kept in the dark about a lot of the war's finer details, but in Chapter 239, we do learn quite a bit about what was going on between the Leaf and the Stone specifically. This doesn't seem to be what initiated the war, since the Minato flee on sight order had already been placed. But at some point, the Stone Village invaded the Hidden Grass Village, and the Leaf caught wind of this. Now, this was a problem because the Hidden Grass rests right on the border of the Land of Fire, and at least according to Minato's intel, the Hidden Stone had already sent at least 1,000 shinobi to invade it. So this was obviously a pretty aggressive attempt on behalf of the Hidden Stone to capture the Hidden Grass Village and use it to make launching a full-scale invasion on the Land of Fire easier. According to an exposition blurb at the beginning of the chapter, this sort of thing was fairly common, or it was at least fairly common for fighting to take place in small villages located between the 5 great nations, just like Nagato said to Naruto. Now, the cause for the war is fairly vague. All we really know is
don't know
there was
why
some
it's
sort of
happening,
power
but it is.
something in close proximity to the leadership of the 5 great nations that led to a great deal of political
Konoha's in the middle, so it's always involved.
Like that, everyone was back at each other's throats again. This initially led to a bunch of fighting near, but not actually inside, national borders, which of course eventually and inevitably ended up involving a bunch of small villages located near these borders. The Leaf and Stone fighting across the Hidden Grass Village is the only example of this that we know of, but it's bound to have happened elsewhere since all 5 shinobi countries took part in this war. Anyway, the reason the destruction of Kanabi Bridge was so important is because without it, the Stone Village troops stationed in the Grass Village effectively had their access to their village's resources cut off completely.
Just gone.
This obviously would have forced them to retreat back to the Land of Earth, which by extension would have made invading the Land of Fire significantly more difficult. Now, it is worth clarifying that Minato himself didn't destroy Kanabi Bridge. Kakashi, Obito, and Rin were tasked with this, while Minato engaged the Stone Village on the front lines. On the team's way to the bridge, Rin was captured, and when the other two tried to rescue her, a battle ensued where Obito Obito was thought to have died.
Yeah,
It was also at this
didn't-
point
yeah.
that Kakashi received his Sharingan, which he seems to have put to pretty good use since later on in the war he earned the nickname the Copy Ninja. Now, while these Kakashi Gaiden
Decent.
chapters do give us a pretty in-depth look at the war, at least from one angle, we never really get to revisit it with the same level of detail. Most of the other stuff we know about the war comes from very brief flashbacks or short exposition snippets.
Yeah, we don't get a
We do
lot of
get a
information.
follow-up to these chapters later on when Tobi's identity is revealed, but focuses a lot more on Obito's interactions with Madara than on the war going on outside the
Yeah, like
cave.
it's just an
Fortunately,
ongoing
we are
thing
shown
in the
something
background.
pretty major during this flashback.
Kakashi killing Rin,
Rin's
yeah.
death, which is
Yeah.
tragically at the hands of Kakashi. Now, since we've all already seen this, I don't think I really need to go over it, but I would like
It's
to
a
focus
bad
on a
thing.
lot of the background details. So first of all, Kakashi and Rin were fighting ninja from the Mist Village, and since we already confirmed that both the Stone and the Cloud Villages took part in this war, this is the fourth of the 5 great nations
Excuse me.
that we've been able to identify as an active participant. Now, what's a lot more interesting than the Mist's involvement is what they were planning to do here. As I'm sure many of you remember, Kakashi only killed Rin because she
She was
asked
gonna
him
get-
to.
yeah.
This was because she'd recently been turned into the Three Tails Jinchuriki by the Mist Village, and they were going to pretend to pursue Kakashi and Rin all the way back to the Land of Fire, and then as soon as she set foot into the Leaf Village, bam, they were going to release Three Tails
right,
and wipe
okay.
Konoha out without even having to launch an invasion. Now, obviously, this tells us a little bit more about just how depraved the Mist Village used to be, but it also lets us infer which Mizukage was in power at this point.
Oh, okay.
In my video about the First Great Ninja War, I explained that the deathmatch between the second Mizukage
Yeah.
and the second Tsuchikage must have taken place during the First War, since the first person that Mu assumes revived him is Tobirama,
Interesting.
who also died during the same war. We also know that the fourth Mizukage, Yagura, was the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails.
Yes.
And while we're never told exactly how long it takes Biju to reincarnate after they're killed, since the Raikage was willing to kill Naruto to put the fourth war on hold for a while, I'd imagine that it's at least a little while. Yagura was also pretty infamous for being a tyrant, but we later find out that this was only because he was being controlled by Obito. At this point, though, Obito had only just left the cave where Madara fixed him up, so
Yeah.
I think it's pretty safe to say that Yagura didn't become Mizukage until much later. This should mean that the person in charge of the Mist Village throughout this war was the third Mizukage, but aside from his title, I can't really tell you anything about the guy. We don't... we
It's
don't
really
know.
interesting how you can place this.
Fun coincidence,
Oh god,
actually,
I'd
the
have a
third
hard
Kage of
job. I'd have to
every
go through.
village should
I
have been
mean,
in power
if
when
I had
this
the
war
time and
started.
actually
We know
made
pretty much beyond
money
a
off
shadow
my
of a doubt
videos,
that
then
he
yeah,
was
cool.
an Indonoki
Like,
led the Leaf
that's why
and Stone
Kage said and
villages at
everyone,
this
like,
point,
I totally get
respectively,
why
and
they do it.
stated
They-
that the third Raikage died during this war as
They get
well.
the views and
since
it's
I just
totally like,
explained why the third
God, imagine
Mizukage
actually
should
living
have
off
been in
doing
charge
this.
of
It's
the Mist,
amazing.
That just leaves the Sand Village. So we know that Sasori actually participated in the Third Great Ninja War, and that's where he got the title Sasori of the Red Sand. The story behind the nickname is actually pretty simple. It's not because of Sasori's red hair or because he was
No, he
raised
kills
in
a lot of people.
naturally red sand. He just killed a lot of people.
There we go.
and their blood
There we go.
tended to get all over the place. Anyway, at some point after his service, he defected from the Sand Village, and it was after this that he killed the third
Yeah,
Kazekage.
and
I
then
think it's
took his
also
body
worth
and used him as a
mentioning that
puppet.
Geo
That's
lays out
amazing.
a very clear passage of time between when Sasori defected from the Sand Village and when the third Kazekage disappeared. So I'm pretty comfortable saying that this guy was running things while the Third War was going on.
Right.
As for everything else that happened during this war, at least the stuff we know, it's either minor or only tangentially related to the war. We do know, according to one of the Itachi light novels, that a ceasefire agreement between the Leaf and Stone villages was enough to bring the war to an end. And we also know that since Hiruzen didn't seek reparations from any of the other participants after the war's conclusion, he ended up making a lot of residents of the Land of Fire really mad. And so in order to appease everybody, he stepped down as Hokage and gave the job to Minato. Now,
Oh,
the
right,
act
so
of
that's
making
why
Minato
that's
Hokage
interesting,
caused
that.
a lot of
That's
internal
why he
village
became
drama,
Hokage.
specifically between the Uchiha clan and the village's administration. But I'll save that for another video sometime in the
Ooh,
future.
cool,
Now, real
alright.
quick before I get out.
That was cool. That was a really good look at the war. I wouldn't be able to do that, what they do here. Like, looking at random flashbacks and bits and piecing the timeline together and that, I just don't have the time for it. It's like I was trying to say, like, if you're Seth and Swag and that, and you get the views, and that's where you make the money. It's like you literally live the nerd dream of just being an absolutely massive geek about what you really like. So that's, that was Boss, and I'm looking forward to more Swag Kage videos, and I don't think a fourth Ninja War video is necessary, because we literally see it happening. I mean, you could just do it, and that'd be a nice little reminder, but it's not like the first, second, third. We didn't actually see it all play out. Fourth one we did. That was the end of Naruto, but cool. Thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? Do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. See you guys.